quarterback Colin Kaepernick be back in the NFL after 4 long years? What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL in here to talk about the possibility of Colin Kaepernick and whether or not he could return to the NFL. But before I get into that, if you're new to the channel, welcome, guys. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do put out daily videos, so you don't want to miss out. And make sure you are hitting the bell icon to be notified every time I drop a new video so you don't miss out. And also follow me, guys, on my social media accounts, my Twitter, Instagram, links down below. As always, with that being said, let's get into it. So where do I even begin? Because here's the thing. You guys should have known this, and I certainly know this. This was coming. Okay, this was going to come, and I was prepared. Oh boy, I was prepared for this video. Well, I'm prepared for every video, but point being is I was more prepared for this one. Here's why. Okay, obviously, unless you're living under a rock, you know the current state of affairs in this country are definitely not status quo. I'm talking about the United States, obviously. And we've got mass protests across the country going on right now to fight against police brutality and racial injustice against African Americans. Okay, and so that has been what's going on. We know that's been sparked mainly by the horrific murder and killing of George Floyd by the officers in Minneapolis. But point being is how this ties back into Colin Kaepernick is because Colin Kaepernick has not played in the NFL for 4 seasons. Okay, 2016. It's been 4 years since the last time we saw Colin Kaepernick. And Colin Kaepernick has not been in the NFL, not for football reasons, though a lot of people would argue that, but mainly because of the fact that he was kneeling for the national anthem. And at that time, obviously, he was fighting for the same causes that people are protesting for now, which is police brutality and racial inequality. But at that time, obviously, it was looked at as controversial and a distraction. And so teams did not feel like Colin Kaepernick was worth the trouble, quote unquote, and the drama and everything that came along with it to keep him on an NFL roster. And so therefore, he got blackballed. And yes, I do believe Colin Kaepernick got blackballed by the NFL. And so he has not been in the league now for 4 seasons, for 4 years. Okay. So with that being said, now that everything that Colin Kaepernick talked about is coming to light and people are seeing that what he was actually, fighting for was not about the flag or the anthem or anything. It just had to do with the fact that, he wanted better for the country in terms of, the police brutality and racial inequality against African Americans to stop. Okay. And so in the end, Colin Kaepernick was proven right because he was fighting for a cause that was very important. And at that time, people didn't give it the importance it deserved. And Colin Kaepernick got blackballed for it. Okay. And so now the conversation turns to, since Colin Kaepernick has been, quote unquote, validated, is it time for the NFL to give him a job back? Because the NFL, Roger Goodell, they've come out and they've essentially said that they will, support the players. And there's been a ton of players that have said they're already going to kneel this upcoming season during the national anthem. Okay, so does that mean now that Colin Kaepernick will get a job in the NFL? Because according to reports, he has been training like he will get a job. He has been training, every day apparently to be a quarterback again in the NFL. Now, again, we had been hearing Colin Kaepernick has been training and preparing the entire 4 years that he's been out of the league. But now, more so than ever, I'm seeing reports that Colin Kaepernick is preparing for a return to the NFL. So the question now becomes, will he get his job back? And here's the thing. The first thing I will say is I don't like the fact that even if Colin Kaepernick does get a job in the NFL, which is not a given, it does seem like it's a little bit forced at this point, almost like a pity, grievance type of position. Like, yeah, you were right. We're apologizing. Here's your job. Here's your roster spot. versus something that obviously you want anybody, not just Colin Kaepernick, to earn, right? So that's the only part I don't like about it. But regardless of that, let's just talk about the actual factual thinking of Colin Kaepernick getting a job back in the NFL, okay? So Colin Kaepernick, like I mentioned, last played in 2016. And in 2016, he played 12 games, had 16 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and a little over 2,200 passing yards. Decent numbers. Very decent numbers, honestly. Okay? And if we are talking about 2016, Colin Kaepernick is better than a lot of starters and a lot of backups, certainly in the league. But we're in 2020 right now. And in 2020 right now, you have to be realistic. Okay, you're talking about a guy who's been out of the NFL for 4 years. I don't care who you are. That is a long time. So that is working against Colin Kaepernick. Number two, the availability of jobs in the NFL. Does Colin Kaepernick want to come back to be a starter? Because if he does, that's not happening. I mean, 99.9999% it's not happening. Okay, because there aren't any starting jobs available. I shouldn't say any, but there's barely any. Okay? And we've got Cam Newton, a former MVP in the NFL that's unsigned right now on the free agent waiver wire. And he can't get a starting job, but you think Colin Kaepernick will be able to step in and get one? That's going to be very tough for me. I'm going to say that's not happening, okay? So if Colin Kaepernick is only looking for a starting job, probably not happening. If he is looking for a backup job, now we're talking. Because I will tell you this right now, Colin Kaepernick, I still believe, is better than a lot of backups in the NFL. A lot of backups. And funny enough, Mike Glennon, who Akeem Hicks brought up as the guy that the Chicago Bears signed instead of Colin Kaepernick to prove that Colin Kaepernick was blackballed, he got a job, okay? And so if Mike Glennon's getting backup jobs still, you certainly think Colin Kaepernick can get a backup job. But here's the thing. Still, at the end of the day, whatever team brings in Colin Kaepernick, whether that is for a backup role or a starter role, probably not for a starter role for the reasons mentioned before, it will still cause the media circus hoopla that was going to be with Colin Kaepernick back in 2016. Again, not saying that should be a bad thing, but it is looked at as a bad thing by NFL teams. They just want to focus on football. You know that. They don't like the fact that the backup quarterback is getting more media attention than anybody else on the team. Forget the starting quarterback, anybody else on the team. And so that is a problem. And when you've got a quarterback who is decent but maybe not that great, and he starts to struggle, oh, you better believe that the cheers, that the calling for Colin Kaepernick to come in and be the starting quarterback, those chants will get louder and louder. So if he signs as a backup with a team, that their starting quarterback, isn't very good, you could take, teams like, let's say, for example, the Patriots with Jarrett Stidham. I mean, that you could certainly see, Colin Kaepernick, they would call him to get the starting job. And you can make the argument the Patriots might be the only team in the NFL that does need a starting quarterback, because I don't think Jarrett Stidham is going to be very good. And so that's a possibility. But other than that, I mean, there's no other jobs in the NFL right now where you look at and you think there's a clear need. Because like I said, you want to talk about, the Chargers with Tyrod Taylor, well, they drafted Justin Herbert. You want to talk about the Dolphins with Ryan Fitzpatrick? Well, they drafted Tua Tagovailoa. You want to talk about the Redskins with Dwayne Haskins? Maybe there. But again, like I said, you bring in Colin Kaepernick, Dwayne Haskins struggles, the chance for Colin Kaepernick to come in are just going to every single week just grow. Okay? So that is going to be something that teams need to be okay with. Okay? That is something. But here's an idea. Here's an idea for me. What if Colin Kaepernick signs as a backup job for a good quarterback? All right, I'll give you a perfect example. Robert Griffin III, RG3. He is the backup for the Baltimore Ravens behind Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP. Nobody calls for RG3 to come in. Obviously, we know RG3 is not the same player. But just work with me, Aaron. For instance, let's say that Colin Kaepernick signs with the Super Bowl defending champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a backup quarterback to Patrick Mahomes. Can you tell me anybody that would, call for Colin Kaepernick to come in for Patrick Mahomes and for Patrick Mahomes to get benched if he's struggling? Yeah, not a single person. So that could be a possibility where there wouldn't be a controversy and Colin Kaepernick could get a job. So again, I do see a path here. So where am I getting at, right? Final answer, is Colin Kaepernick going to get a job back in the NFL? I do believe Colin Kaepernick will certainly get training camp invites and tryouts to come back to the NFL. Ultimately, my gut tells me no, that he won't get a job back in the NFL. That is my gut, just because of the reasons I mentioned. But the only scenario I do see it happening is a scenario where he is a backup for a very good quarterback, because that would suppress the issue of the drama and the controversy and the media hoopla that comes along with signing Colin Kaepernick. And I've said that's not a bad thing necessarily in general, but a bad thing for NFL teams. But like I said, that's the only scenario. And even in that scenario, the media hoopla would still be there. Okay? So my gut says no, Colin Kaepernick won't get a job back in the NFL for the reasons I mentioned. But let me know what you guys think. Will Colin Kaepernick get a job back in the NFL? Because he's training like he is going to. Let me know down below if you agree with me or disagree with me. As always, thanks for watching.